Welcome to the Lazy Agent Podcast. I'm Tommy Muchler, your lazy agent, and today I'm going to share with you how I generate over 5,000 leads by making content that are all basically begging to work with me. Now, before I started generating real estate content, I was door knocking and cold calling and buying internet leads that had no idea who I was, and I was basically just chasing real estate leads all day, and it was probably the worst thing I could have ever done in my real estate career. It was awful. I think I've done about, I don't remember the number. It's either $50,000 or $100,000. I kind of switched between the two numbers, and I honestly don't remember how many cold calls I've done. It's either 50,000 or 100,000. I should figure that math out because I want to be honest with it. But I've done so many cold calls, and I'm just so sick and tired of calling people. Yes, it works. Like, that type of lead generation works. It does, but it just sucks the soul out of you. Like, even all these coaches that are teaching it, notice how they only did it for a few years. Now they're teaching it. It's because they can't do it anymore. Like, they could if they had to, but like, it's just soul sucking. Like, it is not fun. I mean, you're basically just chasing and begging people to work with you all day long, until one day I heard about this thing called YouTube. I know, crazy concept. I know everyone and their mom has a YouTube course right now, and hopefully I can save you some money so you don't have to waste money on one of those overpriced courses that really don't do anything. I started making YouTube content. I'm going to be really honest with you. It didn't work at first. I was following all the old SEO strategies. The SEO just does not work, by the way. Like, not for YouTube. Like, it works for blogging, but SEO and YouTube, if anyone says SEO and YouTube, just don't listen to them. Just run. They don't know what they're talking about. And I was just making content constantly. I was very consistent with my content creation. However, there was a problem. I was getting views, but I got hardly any leads. I was not getting a lot of views. I was getting some views. If I'm being really honest, my original Tommy Muchler channel, I've never actually admitted this before, but my original Tommy Muchler channel that I used to generate real estate leads from, I actually bought views. So I'd go like these websites, like, we'll give you like 1,000 views for like $5. I would buy views to like give it a boost. That really hurt my channel. I would even buy like YouTube ads thinking YouTube ads would help. And that just, well, it just destroyed my channel. The reason why that happened, because I was relatively consistent in uploading content, only for about a year. I wasn't the most consistent, but like for a year, I was consistently uploading content. The thing is my content just sucked. It was not good content. I know some of you are probably thinking, Tommy, your content still sucks. And I'm like, well, why are you watching it? I don't know why you're watching it, but that's fair. It probably does still suck, but it wasn't good content, you know? And while I was making content consistently, I wasn't making better content. And once I started making better content and I learned the secrets on how to do that, and we'll kind of share on how I did that here in this podcast. But once I started making content consistently and consistently making it better, then my YouTube channel exploded. Now, full transparency, I created a whole new channel. I started from scratch when I actually switched things around and learned how to make YouTube content better. And that channel did blow up. I actually don't have a way to share the stats in front of me, but actually, let me see if I can pull them up. Okay, I found the stats. Basically, when I made the switch to making content better, aka I'm making content the correct way, I started a brand new channel from scratch. I made 12 YouTube videos. I got 390 subscribers and I got 30,000 views, which generated me 71 leads and about $7.4 million in real estate sales, which is about $250,000 in commission. And I did all this in 1 year. Okay, so this is just 1 year on YouTube. This is actually 2022. These are my 2022 stats. And since then, I've made a ton more videos and I've generated a ton more leads. But just from this tiny little switch of uploading consistently to making higher quality content has really gone a long ways. And today I kind of want to jump into the framework that I use to help me make better content. And please note, this is going to work for any type of content, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Reels, podcasts, live streams, doesn't really matter. This framework works for all those platforms. In fact, I'm still using this framework today, right now, for my Lazy Agent real estate business. Now we're going to dive deeper into these 3 steps, but I'm going to go ahead and share these 3 steps with you right now for my perfect content strategy. And the 3 steps are more, better, new. Now, more, what does that mean? More means you're not doing enough and you need to do more of it. In fact, this is relevant for creating content, cold calling, spending money on leads, whether you're buying them from Zillow or buying them from Facebook. You're probably just not doing enough and you need to do a lot more. Now, if I'm being honest with you, this is still something I struggle with to this day, and I'm working really, really hard on overcoming it. And that's because I suffer badly from analysis paralysis, meaning I'm always overanalyzing, overthinking everything, trying to come up with the best strategy that's the most optimal, that will save me the most time and generate me the most leads, where I'm all of a sudden getting stuck and I'm not actually doing anything. And honestly, if we're being real with each other, just posting and doing something is oftentimes better than doing nothing. In fact, there's this really cool story where there was this photographer teacher. This teacher, she had her students break up into two different groups, and she had one group just take as many pictures as they could. Okay, so it doesn't matter what, it was just totally improvised. Like, your one mission is just to take as many pictures as you possibly could. And students got really creative. They would try different angles, different techniques, different lenses, different cameras. They would go at nighttime and daytime and at the golden hour. They would do all these different things to just take as many photos as they possibly could. And then the second group had the mission of taking just one perfect photo. They could take a photo of anything they wanted, and they had all this time. They had like a couple weeks to do it, but they could only take one photo and it had to be perfect, okay? And surprise, surprise, the group that took as many photos as possible actually produced better photos than the group that just tried to make the one perfect photo. In fact, they didn't just have one photo that was better than the other group's perfect photo. They had multiple photos that were significantly better. So if anything, you need to be doing more. You need to be making more pieces of content, even if they're bad pieces of content. You just need to be doing something and not falling into analysis paralysis. All right, now when it comes to doing more, here's my perfect strategy. First step is always take imperfect action. No matter what it is, just do something, okay? Just like the photography story, you just got to take action. You just got to take those pictures. You just got to create that content, okay? Step 2 is don't fall for analysis paralysis. Again, I struggle with this a lot, okay? I'm trying to make everything perfect. Don't do that. Just create, okay? And step 3 is at a minimum, do 100 actions a day for at least 100 days, okay? Honestly, you do this indefinitely, but for a minimum of 100 days, do 100 actions. This could, honestly, it could be cold calling. It could be doing 100 cold calls, sending out 100 DMs. It could be spending $100 on advertising if you are buying leads from Facebook or Zillow. But when it comes to content creation, I would do at least 100 minutes of content creation a day, okay? So 100 minutes minimum of created content. That's what I do every single day, and that's what you should do if you want more leads. And side note, don't stop after 100 days. Just keep going. Like, I would just say at a minimum of 100 days just to see what happens, but you got to commit and you got to consistently be making a high volume of amount of content if you want to be successful at this. Now, step 2 is better, and that's because we have to be making better content. Like I was telling you earlier, when I first started making YouTube content, I was consistently making it, but it wasn't getting better. In fact, it actually got worse, and that's why I wasn't growing, and that's why I actually ended up stalling and quitting YouTube for about 2 years before I picked it up again. In fact, I always hear like from all these gurus, like, you got to create more content, and the other side is saying you got to make better content. And it's like, how do you do both? How do you make more content and make it better, especially as a solopreneur or as a solo agent trying to make content? It becomes really, really difficult. Don't worry, I have a strategy for you, and it's really, really awesome. And that's just by increasing the quality of your content by 1% every single day. Now, I know that doesn't seem like much, but there was this British cycling team back in the early 2000s, and they were awful. Like, they were dead last. Everyone hated them. They were not good. They were the worst cycling team out there. And they got this new coach who came in, and he had this philosophy of the 1% rule. And what he started doing was these little things to make the team 1% better. Okay, so he would make the seats more comfortable. He would teach them how to wash their hands better and get these leg heaters to keep their legs warm and help them get a little bit more sleep every night. Just these little tiny things that would just make them 1% better every single day. And honestly, the cyclists kind of thought it was a joke at first because nothing really happened for a really long time because we're just seeing a 1% improvement. It's kind of like investing $100 in the stock market and whoop-de-doo, it only went up by $1. Who cares, right? But 1% compounds significantly over time. And in fact, over the course of a year, if you were to improve 1% at one thing over the course of an entire year, you would actually be 37 times better. And that's what happened to the British cycling team. Now, it took them a couple years, but at the 2008 Olympics, the British cycling team ended up winning 7 out of the 10 gold medals. And in fact, they did the exact same thing in 2012 at the London Olympics. They went from being the bottom of the barrel to winning gold medals at the Olympics. In fact, in 2013, the cyclists went to Tour de France and won where previously no British cyclist has ever won before, all by getting 1% better every single day. So here's my strategy on how you should do this moving forward. Once you create a piece of content, so every day you are creating content, once you create a piece of content right before you post it, I want you to ask yourself this one simple question. What can I do to this piece of content to make it just 1% better? Then I want you to do it no matter what it is. And if you do this every single day, I promise you within 1 year, your content will be 37 7 times better. And this is how you balance creating content, taking imperfect action, and making it better at the same time. It's a secret that took me way too long to learn, but I promise you it will change your life if you were to do it. Now, step number 3 is new. Now, this is a bit of an oxymoron because when I say new as step 3, I actually don't want you to do anything new until you master step 1 and 2. I don't know if you guys remember the movie The Matrix. There was that girl in the red dress. So like Neo was going through his training and he was walking downtown and he sees this girl in this red dress. Now, this was a simulation if you were to watch the movie, and she distracted him because she's this beautiful woman. She caught Neo's eye. He turned, he looked, and before you know it, the bad guy, cannot remember his name, had a gun pointed to his head and shot him, or at least I think he shot him. Regardless, he got distracted, okay? He was distracted when he should have been focused on the mission. And if you are anything like me, you probably get distracted all the time. In fact, I am the most guilty person of ADD brain, distracted, shiny object syndrome, looking at everything, wanting to try out everything. And I will tell you, it is the fastest way of robbing you of your success because it stops you from being consistent and making better content. The reality is the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. There's always going to be this new shiny object, this new shiny toy, this new better way to generate business. And again, it's actually going to slow you down because there's always going to be something better and the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. And it's oftentimes not. In fact, it's actually usually just as hard as the previous thing. Like I remember going from cold calling, like it was miserable. It sucked, right? But if I'm being really honest, and a lot of people are not going to like to hear this, creating content is probably just as difficult as cold calling is. I get it. Cold calling sucks and everyone thinks it's the worst thing in the world. It does. I'm never going to do it again. Okay. But like making content kind of sucks just as bad, especially when it's content you don't want to make. And like, oh my God, I don't know if I can make another home tour video or another top 10 best places to live. Like it just becomes so tiring and boring after a while. And that's okay. You got to learn how to live with it. And you just got to remember, hey, when it's boring, that's okay. That's normal. Just make sure you don't get distracted by the girl in the red dress because she's going to distract you, pull you away. And the next thing you know, you're not creating any content. You're not generating any leads and you don't know how you're going to pay your mortgage next month because you're dilly-dallying, chasing after girls in red dresses and trying to explain that to your wife. Like, oh, sorry, honey, I was chasing a girl in a red dress. You're probably going to get in trouble. But that doesn't mean you can't do something new eventually. For example, that doesn't mean you can't add advertising to your lead generation strategy at some point. There's just a couple rules in place before you do under our new framework. So before we do anything new, here are the rules moving forward. First up is you have to master step 1 and step 2, meaning you have to do as much as you possibly can, aka you need to do more. Only then when you cannot do any possible more, when you can't make any more content, like you just possibly can't, like it's physically impossible, I can't make more content, you then need to move on to step 2 and continue to make the content better, okay? Only when you can't make any more content and you can't make it any better, which is probably going to take you a long time, probably at least a couple years before you get to that point where you can't do more of it and you can't make it better. Only then can you go on to doing something new. Also, there's a caveat. You should really automate these things, put a team in place to help you create content. I have VAs that help me create content because I can't do this all myself. Obviously, it's me in front of a camera. I don't use AI to create content, by the way, but I do have a team of people that help edit that content, that help post that content and help manage it for me, which is how I'm able to create 100 minutes every day worth of content and then give it to my team of people who then take it, edit it, and distribute it for me, which is the only way I'm able to create content at such a higher volume than I was before I had a team in place. So keep that in mind. But again, only once you can't do any more and you can't make it any better should you add another channel. And even then, you probably don't even want to add another lead generation channel like cold calling or advertisement. Like it's probably not even worth it. Actually, I know for a fact it will be more than enough when it comes to generating more leads than you can handle. In fact, if you do everything I said right now and you create more content, make it better, and don't do anything new until you can't create any more content and you can't make it any better, I promise you, you're going to have more leads than you know what to do with, and you're going to have to be sending out referrals like crazy to other realtors just to keep up with demand. And if you really got crazy, you could probably just turn that into a real estate team and just pass off all these leads you're generating from content, which are a significantly higher quality lead, by the way, because they're usually begging to work with you than if you were to pay some company to generate some leads that don't know or care about you and don't even remember how they gave you your information. And they're probably going to report you anyway to the do not call list for harassing them. So, but with that said, content by far is king when it comes to lead generation. It's my personal favorite way to generate leads for my real estate business and my lazy agent business. They're just the best leads. like you guys you're a lead. Like you're in the top of my funnel right now. Like you might not have given me your opt-in information. I don't actually have your contact info right now, but like I'm creating content for you to help you out because I genuinely want to help you out. Like I genuinely want you to be successful. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've been screwed over by a bunch of fake real estate coaches over the years. My money is really important to me and I don't, want to be taking your guys' money and making you guys feel screwed over. I want to be doing the best I can to help you out and get as much success as possible from real, genuine advice that works today in the 21st century. And content allows me to do that. It allows me to give realtors really good advice and it allows me to add you to my funnel. Again, even if I don't have your contact information, you're probably going to subscribe, you're going to follow, or at the very least, you're going to see my content around on different social media platforms. And if I were to ever make an offer for like a product or something, hopefully you guys know me, like me, and trust me by now because you're in my funnel. Even though you're not in my CRM, you're still in my funnel because you're consuming my content. You'd be more apt to work with me. And the same is true for real estate clients. Like it's the exact same. In fact, real estate clients are the best clients I've ever worked with because they're basically begging you to work with them. Like I get phone calls. Actually, I don't take phone calls anymore. I actually send people to a booking page appointment funnel, but they would hop on a Zoom meeting with me and they're basically, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. I thought I was getting stuck with a team member. I'm so excited to work with you. Can you help me buy this $1.5 million house, this $3 million house, this $1 million house? And working with a lead like that is so freaking cool because one, I don't have to convince them to work with me. Two, they already want to work with me. And three, they're usually the easiest clients in the world to work with. And they're basically just easy paychecks, all from creating content. So this is what I want you to do. Everyone who's listening to this podcast, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. You can even make it to me. Go ahead and comment it down below and say, all right, Tommy, I'm sold. I'm going to make 100 minutes worth of content every single day. And I'm going to make it 1% better every time I make something. And I promise I'm not going to get distracted by anything else for at a minimum of 100 days, if not until you at least master step 1 and 2. And I promise you will be successful. You don't need to buy someone's course. If you just do that, you're going to kill it. I promise you, you will. And if you need help and you need guidance on the way, there's 1,000 YouTube videos. I also have some great resources on my website that are completely free. If you go to thelazyagent.com, by the way, I got some free follow-up campaigns, some free courses like our free YouTube course. I even have the world's best CRM that will automate your entire follow-up, book appointments automatically, and basically just save you 10 to 20 hours a week all automatically. Not that you need to buy it, but if you want it, it's there. At the very least, check out some of my free content, like our free YouTube course. But with that said, my name's Tommy Mutchler, your lazy agent, and I will see you in the next one.